Okay, guys, welcome, welcome. Uh, what did you say? Great goal. Don't forget to press go live first. I allow about like 10 seconds, 10 to 15 seconds where I talk before I hit go live. That's not working. So I just figured out, at least in the past, that it was too early and it looks like I'm doing nothing here for a few seconds. So we'll see how this works out. I actually pressed it at the same time. Well, welcome, guys. It's Adult Beverage Friday, my live stream scheduled every Friday at 8 p.m. Pacific time. So this is a standard thing I do every week and with very few exceptions. So if you're wondering what the format is, this is not like the short videos. The short videos are, of course, pre-planned out and I research it and I, you know, tell you exactly. I have, a preset thing that I'm going to tell you in a fixed amount of time. But during a live stream, it's free form. But what the format is that I talk for around 30 minutes about whatever the topic is, and then after that is Q&A. So if you don't want to stay for the Q&A, you can cut it off at that point, because then it won't be about the topic necessarily that's on the title. So I just want to make sure I make that clear, because then somebody's going to make a comment. Your broadcasts, your videos are too long. Well, it's like I said, this is a live stream. So also the live streams are really targeted to existing subscribers. As you already know, whenever I do a live stream, I lose, 50 subscribers every time I do it. So obviously it's not for new people. It's for all of you who already know me and already follow me, and it's a chance for you to actually communicate with me, and it also allows me to find out what you're thinking about, to make sure I have a directed broadcast and directed videos where I know exactly what you're thinking about. So that's at least the intent of it. So it's really helpful to me. It may be helpful to you to do the live streams, but it's even more helpful to me. So tonight the topic will be about Proton Mail, and basically not just Proton Mail, but all the other ones, Tutanota and whatever other privacy sort of options are supposedly out there. So we're going to talk about all that. And some of it's going to be a rehash, but I guess, people don't get the point. So I got to keep rehashing this over and over because people just miss it. So anyway, haven't seen... What? Okay, so just reading the comments here. Volume low. Okay, let me raise it up here. And then you tell me if the volume is low. I don't really adjust this to the same setting every week. So if it's low, we're going to bring it closer. Okay, so the topic is, once again, about Proton Mail. That's on the title. And in case you didn't know what the story is, so this last week we found out that Proton Mail revealed the IP address. So the Swiss government demanded that they provide the IP address of one of the Proton Mail users, because France wanted to find out who a particular person is who had a Proton Mail account. And Proton Mail then said, okay, if it is required by the Swiss government, then we will provide the IP address, which kind of raises several points there. One is that, yes, they are tracking IP addresses. So if you're wondering if there's two parts to the question. The two parts is, are they required to give IP addresses by law? Well, by law, even in the United States, by the Patriot Act, we're supposed to provide whatever information they want from our systems when demanded by law enforcement. I've never gotten any one of those, so never had a request with my secure system, our open source BraxMe. I haven't gotten that kind of request with VPNs. I haven't gotten that kind of request with Brax routers or with Tor routers. Nothing. I've gotten nothing of that sort. So I have not had any experience with having to provide that to anyone. But in the case of Protonmail, they are required by law to provide the IP address. Okay, that's probably a no choice situation for them. No choice situation. If they're required by law to do it, then they have to do it. Just like I'm required by law to do it. But here's the difference, folks. Here's the difference. Here's the difference. If you ask me about BraxMe and say, okay, you're in BraxMe, my app, my secure app, and some entity says, I need an IP address. Well, folks, I don't collect IP addresses. I do not. There are no IP addresses on the server. So if somebody asks me, I will dutifully respond and give whatever they want that I have, but I don't have IP addresses. It's their choice to keep the IP address or not. I do not keep it. There is no trace of any IP address on my system. Even when you do something bad on my system, I actually don't keep the IP address. I only keep a hash. So if somebody's attacking me, I determine who the attacker is only by the hash of the IP address, not the actual IP address. So I don't actually know who the IP address is at any point. I don't store it. Protonmail apparently stores it, which raises some other points. But just trying to make it clear to you that as a company, Protonmail has a choice. But it's really much more complex than this. And it really relates to many of you making a choice that you're going to be safer with some product like Protonmail. So I'm going to tell you right now. Protonmail reached out to me and basically disagreed with me, expecting me to come out with a video saying, "Oh, I suddenly agree with Protonmail," and then they gave arguments about, "Oh, we're not a honeypot." Whatever McAfee said badly about Protonmail is being said by a felon, that kind of thing. So they basically were like defending themselves, and they really missed the point of what I'm trying to say, because I don't really have a problem with Protonmail per se. I have a problem with you guys picking Protonmail with the wrong expectations. Because you're saying, well, I don't want to use Gmail, so I'm going to use Protonmail. Well, I've been repeating this story over and over, so I'm going to just tell you again what the problem is. The problem is, my belief is, I don't think that any email is safe. None, zero. The only safer, not safe, but a slightly safer alternative is to host your own server. So I host my own email server on Linode. I have a tiny server there that handles my email, and that handles all my email accounts, and it's on a Linode, and it's my own. Only I can see it because I have the password to it, and nobody else can see it because nobody else has the password to it. Okay, so no one can observe my email at the server side. Now let me just compare this to those of you who use any shared service, in this case like a Protonmail. Protonmail and Tutanota and all of LavaBit and so on, they all have the same characteristic. The characteristic is that they claim to be privacy emails, even though it's impossible to have any kind of privacy email. So that's in itself, that's an impossible claim. You can't really have private email. And I know they do encryption and all this, which again is a complete misunderstanding of how all this works. So you will find out that's not really a true story. So, and the reason I know this, my knowledge of how a Protonmail or LavaBit or a Tutanota works is because I myself started a privacy email service some time ago. I did it in 2013, I believe. And I built one, I programmed it, and then I tested it. And and then I gave people accounts and they tried it and we used it and everybody was satisfied. Nobody complained. Nobody complained about it except for me. The developer, said, What the zuck? What the zuck? What am I seeing here? Okay, because this is the part you don't get, and this is the part that nobody actually understands about email services. So yes, I made an email service that had encryption. And to have encryption, both parties have to be on the same Braxme account. In my case, my Braxmail, it was called Braxmail. So both parties had to have had Braxmail, just like both parties have to be on Protonmail, both parties have to be on 210 So I'm very familiar with this. And then I do end-to-end encryption on both sides, and so the email itself is secure. So with that in mind, then you said, okay, so there's no issue on the privacy side as far as the email being encrypted. So yes, you can do that. And I believe that when 210 says that their email is encrypted, I believe that. When LavaBit says the same thing, I believe it. When Protonmail says the same thing, I believe it. And they even open source some of this, so you can actually, verify it in the source code if they're doing it right. And some of them have done audits, and they pass, and they say, yeah, the email is secure. So I don't challenge the security of the portion where you're talking to somebody securely with encryption. I don't challenge that part. The problem is that is a tiny, tiny portion of your fucking email. Oh my gosh, folks. Look at your email. Look at your email. Let's say you use PGP on your email. So some of you send me email in PGP, and I don't even respond to it anymore because it's just too much work to even maintain it. But PGP encrypts the body of the message, which is no different than using a 210 or whatever, or a Protonmail. Yeah, PGP will encrypt your email. So what's the problem? The problem, folks, is that only the body is encrypted. It doesn't encrypt the header, and all the data is in the header. What's in the header of an email? What's in the header of an email? This is basically the way email works. The only way email can be forwarded from point to point is if you actually label where it came from, where it's going. It's kind of a procedure here where from server to server, the sending server has to identify itself by sending the IP address and then forwarding it to the next IP address, and that server then forwards to the next IP address. The IP address and the chain of passing of an email is actually in the header. So if it passes through 3 servers, all the 3 servers show up on the email header. They all do. So you can't really hide with this because it's just the way email works. So it doesn't matter if the body is encrypted. I know who the sender is, who the receiver is. I even know the title of the email. Okay, so some of you, are smart. You don't put a title on the email, okay? If you're smart, but then people don't read it. So you want to put a title so that people will look at their inbox and say, oh yeah, I got to open that. Oh, it's encrypted. Oh, okay. But the problem, guys, is that 99.9% of your mail is not encrypted. Now, if you run a service like mine, where actually am able to read all of the emails on the server that are not encrypted, because email's not encrypted. That's just the format. It's plain text. So 99% of the email was not encrypted. Therefore, I could see everything. And you might say, well, who cares? It was sent unencrypted, so everyone could have seen it along the way. The problem is it could profile you. I mean, there is so much that I can learn by reading your emails every day. I mean, exceptionally large amounts of information. Like you go into the gym and your gym is sending you messages about, going to the gym, your Amazon purchases, your whatever panties and bras you bought from Amazon, it shows up on the email. They used to even lay out in detail what you bought. Okay, eBay, same stuff. They send you details of what you purchased on eBay. On and on and on. And then, of course, the personal messages. All of that is not encrypted. Most people At 99.9% of what you're going to receive, even if you have an encrypted product, you will not encrypt it. Therefore, it's not going to work simply by saying, I'm going to go to a Protonmail or whatever. The problem is that those specific email products are made to be targeted towards those who are privacy minded. So it's actually already a subset. So basically, a population already knows that you're going to Protonmail and 210 because you have something to hide. So we have something to hide places. I mean, so you have a choice. Let's say you go to Outlook.com, Microsoft, versus Protonmail. At least with Outlook.com, you're buried there with, billions of people, hundreds of millions, comparison to the however many thousand they have in Protonmail, which are identified as being a target group. There are all the activists, all of those types, bad guys, things, who think people want to hide something. They're all on Protonmail. So it's really bad for that purpose, since there is a way to profile you on it. If there's no way to profile you on a Protonmail, it'll be fine. The problem is you can. So the only actual real use case for a 210 or a Protonmail, the only use case is if you limit your traffic on Protonmail, and this is not perfect either. The only use case for a Protonmail or a 210 or anything like that is if all parties and all email that you get is 100% encrypted. You do not use it for anything else. Meaning you only use it to communicate with certain select individuals on a Protonmail account, without any identity, without putting your name on there, without any kind of identifier, and using it only for that very limited purpose, very, very limited purpose, and maybe have many Protonmail accounts so you can mix it up, and always being on a VPN or Tor. That is the only time that it actually makes sense. And if you're going to use that, I'm going to ask you, why are you even on it? Why not use XMPP? XMPP is sucking the best. XMPP, if you don't know what XMPP is, if you have an Android, use the app Conversations. It's the best. There's no doubt that is like super duper easy, trustworthy. It's a federated system. I discussed it on the video. XMPP is just a protocol. XMPP, by the way, is a protocol used by WhatsApp, but do not use WhatsApp. Tor's illegal, man. Who told you that? No zucking Element. I don't use Element. Okay, it's like you want metadata, then you want to use Element. You don't want any metadata. That's why XMPP is great, because there's no metadata. There's no one that can collect, because it's federated. No central entity can. You can even make your own XMPP server, so don't want to collect anything. So my way of, if it's better than Signal. Better than Signal. XMPP is a protocol, and you can use many apps, different apps on different platforms. An example of this is Conversations on Android. I forget the one on Apple that you can use, but they're and then you can use one on a PC, on a Mac. But these are XMPP is just a protocol, so it works on every platform. And even if you use like a Thunderbird, you can actually send email instead of email, send XMPP messages. No, Jabber is not. Yeah, Jabber was changed. It used to be called Jabber, now it's called XMPP. Okay, what server housed that? It's federated. There are thousands of XMPP servers, and if you don't want to use thousands of XMPP servers, you can use your own server. I have one. It's xmpp.brax.me. If you want to use that, it's free. xmpp.brax.me. XMPP is not email, but it can be used on Thunderbird, so it can act kind of similar to email. So what is email for? Email is really for people you don't know that need to send you stuff that, because it's the easiest way to do that. And for that, it's mostly junk mail. Why would Zuck would you put junk mail on Proton Mail? Why would you do that? Why would you do that? So the best way is to have multiple emails for very specific reasons. You do not mix business with non-business because everyone can read email. Email is a postcard. So I don't like to do that. And here's the worst part about email that you're sending to a Proton Mail. You're creating a Zucking contact list. Oh my gosh. All the contacts that you have based on every email sent and received is being collected by Proton Mail. They not only have your IP address, every service, all of them, will obviously have a contact list. Okay? Just like Gmail has a contact list, all of these have contact lists. And this is why you partition your communities. You partition them by having multiple emails. How many emails do you need? Many. I got many. I can't even count how many I have. I have many email addresses. Many. I probably actively use maybe like 20. And I make sure they're all partitioned. I don't mix them up. For example, if I'm going to talk to some government agency, I'm going to use the one with my real name. They already know it. If I'm doing business, it's only a business one. Never mix anything on it. If it's family, separate one. And if it's for two-factor authentication, like for your social media accounts, I have a completely different one, like useless one, throwaway. What are the best throwaways? Throwaway emails. Well, obviously Gmail. If you're going to use one just for validating a login, well, heck, I'm going to use Gmail, and I'm not going to put my real name on there. It's perfect, Gmail. And it's not going to have any data because it's only used for validating a login. So I'm not going to put anything. I'm not actually going to receive any email on it. It's just for validating, two-factor authentication. Yeah, which if you have a Thunderbird account, you can set up as many email accounts as you want. You can set up as many Gmail accounts as you want. So you can say, okay, this is for Twitter, this is for YouTube. You can do it like that. A little bit too much, probably too excessive, but just a few separators to make sure they don't get mixed up. So let's say you want to go to a left-wing website. Maybe you want to separate out the left-wing website. Maybe you're going to right-wing website. Maybe you want to separate that email so that they don't get profiled with the other stuff. If the data on the email is partitioned like that, then it's really pretty useless. You can't really derive any identity as long as, and this is an important point, as long as you're on a VPN. Why is this important? I told you every time you send an email, your email sends out your identity on it. Your IP address is on it. Sometimes the machine name of your computer on it. Okay, so you got to be careful that you always have a VPN. Fortunately, this issue is only for receiving mail. Sending mail. Sending. It doesn't. Your IP address is not revealed. Well, that's not true. If you're on Thunderbird, your IP address is not revealed by receiving mail. Okay? If you're on Thunderbird is a email client. Okay? It's an email client. You can put it on your computer. It can work on your Mac, on your PC, on your Linux. Thunderbird is the safest app that I know for receiving email. And there's various reasons for this, but it doesn't allow what is called a beacon attack, where it actually reveals your IP address when you receive email. One of the known attacks for email is to send you an email and then a beacon is sent back that identifies your IP address. I demonstrated this in many videos. Very, very easy to do. And the problem is that your iPhone, your Android, all standard Gmail, all these standard products will actually reveal all that. So it will reveal your IP address. Now, Gmail may not reveal your IP address when you're using it in a webmail form, but Gmail knows your IP address because you logged in and they track that. There's actually history of your logins, even on YouTube. There's history of logins, your logins in YouTube. If you use a VPN, not a VPN, it's all recorded on there. There's no escaping this. If you make a mistake, it's on there. So anyway, the key is that to have a VPN. Of course, you can't send an email offline. You got to be connected. Then don't use email. Don't send email without a VPN or Tor or something. Okay? So anyway, that's the contact list is one of the bigger issues. So let's say you go on Protonmail and you say, well, let's just say for the sake of discussion that Protonmail was not was not collecting the IP address. Well, they are, unfortunately for you. So Protonmail, as an example, and again, this is no different than Tutanota and all of this, they have your email. They have the email of everyone and the real name of anyone that you're talking to. They have their IP addresses. They have your IP address. They know all the subject matter, how frequently you're talking, and so on. And they know all of your content that is not encrypted. I'm going to tell you that is enough to profile everyone. So that guy, the activist that was caught by the French because they got the IP address from, and he got arrested based on what was revealed by Protonmail, they have more than an IP address. They have all the contacts. They know who he had talked to. They will know everything. They can read all the email that's not related to whatever he was caught about. They can profile him. They'll know if it matches his style and his identity and his actions. And they say, well, this is the real person we're trying to catch because all the data is here. So anyway, that's the real, and this is the hard answer here. If you can avoid email, you have to avoid it. Somebody like me, I have a little bit of a reserve because I can set up my own email server. I set it up on Linode. So what I do, if some of you are a little bit more skilled here, it's fairly easy to set up a Linode server for email. Now there's a little trick. So if you set up a Linode server, you can set one up for a little $5 a month. You don't need more than $5 a month to set up an email server, but it does require a lot of technical knowledge in theory. So I'll give you a little tip for those who are a little bit techie and you want to set up your own email and you want to know how to do it safely, because email is very, very hard to set up. Well, the way to do it, guys, which is fairly simple, is to always make sure that you have a separation between your receiving of email and sending of the email. Don't put it on one server. So any serious operator of an email service will have two servers, one for XMPP, which is the one that does the send, and one for the receive. As long as the receiving one is made never to do a relay or never to send, it is not going to be affected by the scammers, the spammers, the ones who hack email servers. That is really the main issue. First you have to have an encrypted server, and then you have to make sure that there is no XMPP on it. It's only doing IMAP, and the app for that is called Postfix and Dovecot, DOVECOT, and Postfix. So those are the two apps you install on a Linux server, and then you set up the domain and whatever, and then you direct your domain to that with an MX record on your DNS, and you can receive the email on that account. As long as it's turned off to not do any kind of sending, then you'll be fine. So send your email the way whatever the email provider would normally send it to you. In my case, what I do is I pay for an XMPP service. So there are XMPP services, and then you forward your email to them, and they forward it for you. So you don't need a server for it. And that way you don't have to worry about, spam and all that. But the receiving side is your own server because you have the password. Nobody can look at your email. However, somebody en route can actually read emails since email's not encrypted. So somebody on some server somewhere can read traffic going back and forth. And then this is why you isolate your systems into multiple email accounts. So you don't have just one, you have many. Okay? So anyway, that's yeah, Linode's good for websites, cheap, $5 a month. You can run a WordPress for $5 a month. So anyway, that's the only way that I know of that is somewhat acceptable for receiving useless emails. I don't do anything serious on emails. Okay, I wouldn't talk about anything in detail on an email. If somebody wants to talk about anything serious, go to Braxme, my app, or set up an XMPP account and talk there. Or if you want to go do video, use Jitsi, JIT.si. I have a video on that. It's not Zoom. Zoom is not safe. Skype is not safe. Jitsi is very safe. Jitsi, XMPP, use that instead. You can use it instead of Signal. It's easy to use and much safer. And email, use it only for garbage, and partition your accounts to be in multiple segregated categories so you don't mix up. If somebody gets to read everything, they only read a limited context. Okay? GPG is PGP, same thing. It's encryption for email. Okay, Australia, you mean the fact that they're spying on your phones in Australia? Well, they can do it here in the US too, but in Australia, apparently they let you know. They hack you and they let you know. We're hacking you right now, so we're watching you. So anyway, guys, that's if you want to use a Linode server, you just put linode.com/RobBraxman, and they'll give you a 60-day $100 credit. So you can set up quite a few servers and you can experiment with this, what I'm talking about. If you want to experiment with it on server, all you need is a $5 server and you can run your email. Now, if you want me to do it, that's a little bit more complex. So I can't do an email service for cheap. It's kind of hard to set up. But it's something that I've been trying to figure out, how to do it. Maybe, do a virtual machine of many people sharing the same server, then that might work. But otherwise, it's kind of expensive to do. Okay, so anyway, so that's the story, guys. So would I go to Protonmail, one of those? I can't imagine why I would need it. My own server is safer than Protonmail. Protonmail, third party, is reading my unencrypted mail. On my own server, nobody else is reading my encrypted mail. Nobody. But me. Jitsi is JITSI. JIT.si is the website. I have a video on it. Jitsi, yes. Okay, so anyway, that's end of my rant here, and then you can ask questions, and let me read your comments here. Should use Google Meet in browser? No. Why would you use Google Meet? I just said use Jitsi. Again, my recommendation: Jitsi for video or audio, XMPP for text messaging. For family, because they're harder to convince to go talk to you, Signal. Family only. I wouldn't use Signal with non-family. Family only, Signal. Otherwise, you don't want to reveal your phone number. Okay? Thank you, Izamar Rios. Okay, so just some quick suggestions there. Use email only for garbage. You don't need Proton Mail. I mean, if you're on it, you're on it. I don't care if you're on it. I'm just telling you there's no value to it as far as I'm concerned. If you want to use Proton Mail because you do not want to use Gmail, okay, fine. I get that, but don't treat it like it's anything special. Okay. Okay. If you want to use Proton Mail or Tutanota, it's fine. I mean, they're fine. Is it better than Gmail or any of that? Marginally. Okay. I mean, you might as well like use like Yahoo, something like that. So is iMessage safe? Hell no. I'm installing Unix on KVM. Should I use VPN on? Why would you use Unix on KVM? Unix is already a VM. Unix is supposed to run on VirtualBox. I don't think Unix is designed to work with KVM. It's designed to work with Unix, with VirtualBox. At least I've never used KVM. KVM is a very good virtual machine, but Unix is kind of tuned for VirtualBox, which is great. What do you know about Teleguard? I don't know Teleguard. I mean, I know Telegram. Okay, so if you want to use Proton Mail, fine, but don't expect any kind of privacy. I mean, if you're going to Proton Mail because you think you have some special privacy, no. In fact, it's kind of a target. So I'd rather not get a target. I read about StartMail. Okay, guys. I mean, I'll be honest with you. StartPage is my sponsor now. So I am sponsored by StartPage. So obviously they have StartMail. StartMail has the same kind of encryption thing that Tutanota and Protonmail would have. And then they explain to you how they guard your privacy with all that. Another one is Secure, SEKUR. So all of these are products that offer alternative emails, and they sound okay for what it is. They sound okay for what it is, but the fact of the matter is, it doesn't change my opinion about what email. I don't really care who provides it, even if it's from my sponsor. Even if it's from my sponsor, I'm going to tell you right now, use email sparingly. Is StartMail better than Gmail? Well, obviously, yes. Is StartMail better than ProtonMail? At the moment, it sounds like it. Okay? Is Secure better than StartMail? I don't know much of the difference, but we're going to put them in the same category. They're privacy email products. If there's a provider of email that's kind of low key, private party, that's not big, that would be better. But I don't know where to find those anymore. I should be offering that, a small email service, because small email services do not have the resources to sell your data because they don't have enough to make any economic value out of it. So it's like somebody asking me, do you sell the data to your VPN? My VPN is a small company. I have a good number of users now, but it's a small company. There's not enough to make money on data, even if I wanted to sell the data. So it's impossible to make money from selling, data unless you have gazillions of accounts like Gmail and Outlook and these guys. They can sell data. They have enough data. The rest of us don't. So most VPNs don't have enough data. Even the big VPNs. I'm trying to think like how many actual people are, on, let's say, a NordVPN. As much as you think it's a lot, I don't think it's as much as you think, because I'm counting their servers, and based on the number of servers, I'm going to say it's not as many as you think. So, yeah, it's not as many as you think. Is there a video on setting up your own email server? No, it's kind of complex. I mean, it's very techy. Even if I made a video, it wouldn't be, when you set up an email server, it's beyond just setting up the email. You got to set up domains. You got to set up MX records. You got to go, sometimes you have multi-domains. You got to set up users on Linux. There's many, many things you got to do that's beyond just the setup. So it's a little bit complicated. Then you get forwarding rules and aliases, and it's just goes on and on. So nobody really has a simple email. That nobody will say, "Oh, my email's simple," because most people do not have simple email. The nice thing about hosting your own email server is you can have 10 million email addresses. I have many. I can set up as many email addresses as I want. If I say 20 is not enough, some I use, for single purpose. Then I delete them later on. So there's actually no limit to the number of email addresses you can have if you host your own server. But if you're thinking about what I just said about hosting your own server, and you have some knowledge of Linux, and you want to use Postfix and Dovecot, the trick really is separate out SMTP. Do not put SMTP on the same server. Do not. So if it receives incoming SMTP only, meaning incoming email, it doesn't allow forwarding. That will prevent the spam. Okay? Because if you send spam, they will disconnect you. You won't be able to send email. So does your VPN comply with the 5 I's? I don't comply with anything because nobody's asked me anything. If somebody says, does my VPN will comply with whatever laws are in my country, the USA, I have to comply with USA laws. But I don't have any data. There's no logs. There's no email. There's no IP address. I don't know what you're actually doing on the VPN. Some of you are doing bad things on the VPN, like using BitTorrent and doing illegal downloads. I don't even have an actual way of finding out who's doing that. Normally, all I find out is that the companies that are tracking you, because they're actually telling you to download from them, then they report you when you download from them, because they're actually honeypots, BitTorrent honeypots, because many of you are like dumb enough to use BitTorrent. You don't even understand the privacy problems with BitTorrent. And so they come and give me a DMCA notice saying, we're going to sue you, and we need to identify whoever this is that downloaded this material, and then they give me a timestamp, and within that timestamp, for a single server, there could be 100 people that were doing things during that time. I have no idea. Even with a specific server, I don't have any idea who's doing what. I couldn't even prove it because there's no log. There's no way to know what you were doing on. I only know that you were on it because of course, I got to track if you're overusing the server. You have to log in. That's all I have, is that you logged in at the timestamp. That's all I have. And some of you are paying by not by any known means, and not even using a real name. So I don't even know who it is. And some of you don't even have email. So I don't actually even know who the person is. So, I respect your privacy, so I don't have anything. Okay, so what are examples that the average Joe could do with Linode? Well, for one, you can practice on making a web server using WordPress. So it can set it up for you, and all you have to do is, establish a website. That's an example. You can set up a Nextcloud to store your files on there. There's many things you can do, and you can also use it for learning. But of course, the main function of a Linode is to set up cloud servers. So for those of you more sophisticated, you can set up your own Jitsi server, your own XMPP server, your own Nextcloud server, and then because somebody will say, well, it's on Linode, then they can look at the machine. Hell no. Change the password. You control it. You change the password on Linux, and that's not going to show up anywhere. And they can't. The only thing they can do is delete what you have. Okay. Would Enigma machine type encoding be secure for email? What the zuck does that mean? Enigma is what is it? How many bits? 8-bit encryption is very, very limited. I mean, no. Obviously modern encryption. Can we make WebRTC Jitsi mesh network? I don't understand the context of that. Jitsi has all that built in. You don't specifically say I'm going to do WebRTC. No, that's handled by the Jitsi installation. What are the capabilities of a ham radio and why should I get a license? Well, obviously, the main thing is for emergencies. Ham radio is for emergencies, and being the prepper that I am, I'm always ready. If the grid goes down, I'm able to communicate. So I can communicate around the world. I have an HF radio. I can communicate locally. I have a UHF, VHF radio. I have marine radio. I got lots of things. I don't rely on the internet for emergencies. Here in California, we've already gotten multiple earthquakes where I was broadcasting live, talking about ham radio, and it actually happened live. Now, but beyond that, the thing about ham radio is that it's really not made for the mass spying collection that you find on any communications on the internet. Even though you're forced to identify yourself on ham radio, the reality is that it's not subject to mass collection. Nobody's listening to every frequency in the world and collecting every word said and then transcribing it and sending it to Google. It doesn't work like that. So because of that, ham radio is actually, for me, one of the safest means of communication. Prepping will soon be illegal to... prepping will be illegal. All these questions, nobody answering. Well, I can only answer some. I can't answer everything. Now, somebody will say, can you set up a VPN server on a Linode? Yeah, you can. You can do that. So if you want to spend the money to set up your own VPN server on Linode, you can do it quite easily. In fact, they give you a server you can use, but it kind of defeats the purpose of the VPN. Okay, the purpose of a VPN, guys, is to hide among the many. So when you go get spotted, they can say, well, there's 1,000 of you with the same IP address. We have no idea who it is. Therefore, we can't profile. The problem is if you're a single user on one IP address, then everything you do on that IP address will be very distinctly you. So what's the point? So no, it is not a good idea. The only reason you do a VPN for yourself is if you want to do encryption. It has nothing to do with, if you want to encrypt one of the legs. It has nothing to do with identity, which is really the main purpose of a VPN, to obscure identity. So is Havoc OS as good as Lineage if it's no gaps? Havoc is just another, you can even use a GSI. They're all okay to me. But no gaps. I haven't found a Havoc with no gaps. They all have gaps. Don't buy a freeze dry machine. Not worth it. Okay. You should. Can you start a prepping channel? I do have one. It's my boating channel. So my boat is my prepping channel, because it's actually not just a bug out, but it's actually independent. It has solar. It's got everything. It's fairly independent. Even if there were no gas, it will run. It has solar power. The only thing that I'm going to need for it, it's kind of expensive, is a water maker. So if you want to watch my channel, my sailing channel, it's on the channel list, cross channels of this channel. So you can find it on my main channel listing here. Why do you not sell any phones with Graphene OS? Why? Why should I sell a phone with Graphene OS? Is it going to do something special for me? So some of you come to me and tell me it's going to do something special. It's fine. You can use Graphene OS, but just don't tell me it's doing something special for me. Is Proton VPN actually no logs, unlike their email? They say that. They say that. Is your boat unsinkable? Is there such a thing? Thank you. Subbed in the bell. Weiss Ninja. Thank you. You know, on my typical broadcast, I lose 50 subscribers every time I do a live stream. Rob, we want a Graphene OS phone. Then go make one yourself. I don't do Graphene OS. Okay, so if you want to talk about Graphene OS, go to Reddit. They got a big community there. They're just obsessed with Graphene OS. I'm not gonna add to that. Okay? They're the worst community for me. They attack me here all the time. So because they attack me, no, I am not going to go talk about in any positive way. Even though I'm going to tell you right now, it's fine. You can use Graphene OS. You can use Calyx OS. You can use Havoc. You can use eFoundation. You can use Lineage OS. I install Lineage OS. I installed the proper way. I put MicroG, I put the Aurora Store, and I put all the proper apps in there, and it's great. I don't want anything else. There's nothing else that you need. It's great. It has, sensors off button. It's fantastic. There's nothing that you need. So whatever people are saying, oh, you got to have this, you got to have that. Well, not for the purpose of this channel. This channel is a privacy channel. So yes, I love Lineage OS. It works great. And it works on many models. It's not stuck to one kind of model. So I have many models here. There's a Pixel. Somewhere here I have Moto. They're all running the same OS. So then I don't have to worry about supporting different things. So I have Pixel 4. Yeah, so all of them run the same OS. So the point is it going to do the job for what I want it to do, which is to hide your identity. That's really the focus of the phone, to hide your identity. Does it do that? Yes, and whatever promises that somebody makes about what it does may sound good to you, but not necessarily a selling point to me. Do you have voice over option on your Google? You can you can install anything. Signal is voice over IP. It's pre-installed already. Jitsi, you can run Jitsi, like I said. You can run anything. You can run Skype. You can run, if you want to do that, you can run Viber. You can run even things that I don't recommend. Linphone. You can run all that voice over IP. You said you have 17,000. I never told you anything about how many VPN subscribers I have. I've never said anything. So where'd you get that? That is not correct. I didn't say anything. I have, let's see, I believe I have 60,000 Brax.me users. Okay, like 60,000 Brax.me users, which is kind of cool. Jitsi Meet, yeah, Jitsi Meet. It's in the site meet.jit.c. Do you trust Proton Mail's encryption? I'm not challenging Proton Mail's encryption. Not challenging that. But that is such a little portion of your email. I use Kaspersky VPN. Too slow. Is Rob's good for speed? I don't know if it's good for speed or not where you are. It depends on where you are. If you're next to the server, it's fast. If you're not next to the server, it's slow. So it is what it is. So for you in the USA, you're almost covered with. I have servers in New York, Atlanta, Dallas, California, Toronto, so which covers the Midwest too. And then I got Australia, Japan, Singapore, India. I got Germany, UK. So those are my current servers. So if you're not near those areas, then Singapore. I forgot. Did I say Singapore? Yeah. So servers in Thailand, no, but Singapore is probably the closest. And yeah, so London, yes. And then Frankfurt, Germany. You aren't GDPR compliant, I bet. Actually, I am GDPR compliant, but it doesn't really matter since I don't do anything that pertains. I don't collect data in any case. So it doesn't matter. I don't have any data collection. I don't collect cookies. I don't do any of that. So there's nothing that's GDPR that I wouldn't even be compliant with. I'm fine. And they also have a limit on that. You know, you have to do a certain amount of business in a country. I think you have to have more than $1 million in sales in the EU. You think US better? I think US is safer because you need a warrant, and I've never received a warrant. Whereas you don't need a warrant in another country, they can just go in there and do it. He's admitting falsery. What am I admitting to? There are Bitcoin wallets for de-Googled phones. Yes, they work. I use, you can do, de-Googled phone doesn't mean anything. It's just standard Android. 90% of the apps work. 90%. What VPN would you use? My VPN, obviously. Bytes VPN. What VPN do you like? Bytes VPN. Thank you for asking. What VPN should I get? Bytes VPN. Who owns Bytes VPN? Well, I do. Can you trust Bytes VPN? Well, it depends. Do you trust me? Look at this face. Do you trust me or do you trust Proton VPN? It's up to you. You make your choice. Or do you trust a big company in Lithuania that runs NordVPN? Do you trust that? So do you trust the big guys that run by some big giant corporation, or do you trust somebody who's actually in privacy talking to you about it every day? Okay, so is Winston privacy any good? There are products like Winston, like Deeper VPN, which I have one here, and so on, that are problematic. And they're problematic from a DMCA point of view, because you exchange IP addresses with some party, and if they do something illegal like download illegal content, you will get the DMCA notice, and you're not going to be able to defend yourself. That's the problem. It's really, there's no precaution for that. The in a VPN case, now here's the difference. Let's say you do a VPN. Many of you do illegal things on a VPN, as I already told you. But legally, we're your cover, so we have to defend. That's part of the cost of doing the VPN, is we have to defend against your bad behavior. I do not want any BitTorrent users on my VPN because they're the biggest pain in the butt. I even offer a Tor VPN. So I have a Tor. I write to the VPN through Tor, which is, that one is unrestricted. You can do whatever you want on that. But on the VPN that ends with a VPN, I can't really take people who do BitTorrent, but I happen to have them, and they're a pain in the butt because it means, you know, I got to go do the legal work to defend, because you got to respond in a legal way to every violation. Some of you violate 50 times a day, and it's very, very time consuming. So I don't want those kinds of people. If you're going to be that, go to NordVPN, go to Proton VPN. So do not do BitTorrent. So Merlin, do not go to my VPN. If you think BitTorrent is somehow private for you, you think you're downloading safely, you're in dreamland. So you're just going to a honeypot. So are you New World Order compliant? Zuck that. Well, I don't want to talk about other VPNs, guys. Don't ask me about other VPNs. The only VPN that you should use is Bytes VPN. By the way, I have a money back guarantee anyway. So if you say, well, it's too slow, then I'll refund you. No issue. Okay? Because it depends on where you are. If you're next to the server, it's very fast. If you're far from the server, it might be slow. Okay? Well, or it could be slow because your ISP could be throttling you, in which case I don't have any control over that. But, it's the only best thing I can promise you is if it doesn't work for you, 30-day money-back guarantee, no questions asked. Actually, you can end your subscription anytime anyway, and I'll just refund you the portion you used, the portion you did not use. So, it's fair. And I don't do this automatic renewal every year, so you're locked in, and then you can't cancel like they do on PIA and Nord and all these guys. They lock you in with a prepaid thing, and they just charge you for the next year, and they don't let you cancel. It's like, zuck that. I mean, these are basically cheats. Okay, I'm not like that. I just offer you service. It's fair. If you don't want it, cancel it. We figure out how many days you have left, and then we subtract that from the balance, and you get your money back. No big deal. I lose money, no big deal. It's okay. Okay, I don't have a problem with that. It's not much. I mean, if you think I'm making like big bucks from this VPN, it's really not. It's really not. It's really not that big. So my business model is actually, based on many products, and you make a little bit on every little one, and it's hard work. I got staff here, and we work hard to do this, and we don't make much money from Google, from YouTube. So if you think we're getting rich, I know I have 335,000 subscribers, and you think, oh my gosh, he's getting rich from YouTube. No, we're not getting rich from YouTube. We're doing well because we sell products that you want, and by doing that, then and we have to work at it. I mean, it's not automatic. You buy the products because you like it. So generally speaking, most of you, I've sold so many phones. I've sold so many phones. So and I've sold so many VPNs too. If any of you have something bad to say and I didn't refund you, you would be here talking about it all day. I mean, you can't have this many clients and not have anybody complaining here constantly. Okay? So if you're unhappy, I refund you, no issue. I just want every client to be happy. That is the model. Every client has to be happy. Don't cheat me, I won't cheat you. It's all fair. Right? That's what the model is. So Rob Braxman is not a licensed ham radio op. Zuck you. So you want me to? Some of these people are like, so zucked up. They actually want me to state my ham radio license. Watch the zucking video. There's a video on the boating channel. I'm actually on the ham radio, HF radio, HF. You have to have a general license to be on HF, and I'm there doing what do you call that? The ham forget the ham day. So I did that. It's in the video. There's the video. You can actually hear me talking on the zucking radio. Oh, you're not real ham operator. Who cares? I don't really care what you say. Okay, so somebody get a just buck you here, moderator. Please zuck up this person here. So field day. Sorry, yes, field day. So see what was I on? I think I was on 20 meter. We didn't have 10 meter was very bad during the time I did it, so there was no 10 meter traffic. There was 20 meter and 15, 20 and 15. There was no 10. So we were on 20 meter and 15. I myself only did the 20. So anyway, I have a HF radio on my boat. I have a marine radio. I have UHF, VHF. I have what was your call sign? I'm not gonna tell you my call sign. Dennis G, make some sense here. I'm not required to give anybody my call sign, okay? I'm not transmitting on ham radio. If I'm on ham radio, I must give you the call sign. If I am not on ham radio, Zakyu, you ought to know that. I mean, what is on your call sign? I mean, you Google it and you get the person's name and address. Zuck. Okay, this is the privacy sucking channel. Do you expect me to go, oh, I'm going to give you my call sign so you can go knock on my door? Yeah, right. I mean, that's really stupid. So I give my call sign out when I'm doing a transmission, which is why I hardly ever transmit and do rag chewing, which is what you call when you're just talking on the radio, talking about, small talk. I don't really do that because, I don't need to be super identified. So I look like a Gemini. No, I'm not a Gemini. Merlin. Thank you, Merlin. SDR, hate, ham, gossip, chit chat, working fractal antennas. So my main focus on ham radio is actually doing testing of frequency, because it's a method of hacking, method of finding your privacy. So I use it for experimentation. So you see my videos on mesh networking and so on. I've made many videos that rely on my knowledge of ham radio. So is that gossip? No, it's small talk. Rag chewing is in ham radio is just talking about. You're not allowed to have like normal conversation. Somebody was saying earlier that can we forward messages, private messages from person to person using ham radio, kind of like a forwarding service? The answer is no, you can't. It's not allowed by ham radio. Ham radio license doesn't allow that. You're not supposed to use it for that. It's supposed to be for unimportant topics. You can't use it for personal use. But guess what? There is a service that does that. I don't know if people use it anymore, but there's a service that does that, forwarding calls on marine radio, which I also have. I have marine radio. I don't know if anybody does that anymore because everybody has access to satellites. So GS8 is best for preppers. Also WinLink. Yes, I use WinLink. I have WinLink. I mostly, it's great for testing WinLink on HF. So what do you think about national census? Operation Warp Speed and what about the dead man switch? What about it? Are you asking if I have a dead man switch? No, I don't have any secrets that require a dead man switch. I have nothing. I'm not like a McAfee or somebody important. I don't know anything. Whatever I know, I tell you. Hack RF1 is the tool that somebody might use for doing RF kind of research like I do. But I do not use Hack RF1. I use Blade RF. Hack RF1 is half duplex, and Blade RF is full duplex. So, meaning you can send and receive at the same time. So Hack RF1 can't do that. So it's kind of limited. Recommended an SDR for beginners is RTL SDR. It's 20 bucks or something, 30 bucks. RTL SDR, then you can kind of listen into the radio using your computer. The alternate background is wound up tonight. The what? What do you think about I don't know. I don't know what. There's many email products. You can use them all. I'm not stopping you. I'm just telling you, don't expect anything special from them. Sparse distributed representation, not software-defined radio. That's what SDR means, software-defined radio. You can tell a lot about a person by what VPN they use. That's funny. Let's see. What do you... for people use free Protonmail. If you pay for VPN, doesn't it kind of defeat the purpose since it has traffic to your account? No, the VPN does not have a traffic to your account. The VPN only records that you were on the VPN. It doesn't connect to your traffic. If 1,000 people were on my VPN server in 1 hour, I know that there's 1,000 people there. I have no fucking idea what those 1,000 people were doing. There's no logs for one. So no idea. I can look at the traffic and say there's a lot of traffic, a lot less traffic. The only way that I know there's a BitTorrent use is because BitTorrent, what do you call this? Honeypot guys tell you to download from. So let's say there's a new movie and you think you're downloading from some legit BitTorrent user. You're not downloading for a legit BitTorrent user. You're downloading from these guys that want to report you. What that's called? When somebody tries to catch you in the act like that. So then they once you download from them, then they track your IP address and what you were doing, and then they'll find out it's a VPN, and then they'll go report to the VPN and say, "Zuck, this guy, we're going to sue you." And then I have to respond as a VPN. Okay, which is a lot of work to respond to it. So they use this. They get paid by the Sonys and the various copyright holders. They actually get paid to do this. So they entrap you. That's the word, entrapment. Oh, there you go. You guys say entrapment. So BitTorrent today is an entrapment tool. So some of you are saying, "Oh, I love BitTorrent." It doesn't matter what torrent. Torrent's torrent. All torrents are entrapment tools. So if you want to use BitTorrent because you don't want to pay for whatever, you're going to be entrapped. And whatever VPN you use, you're identifying a timestamp. So then somebody will now say, okay, so somebody within this time period used BitTorrent from 12:01 a.m. to 12:02 a.m. So the best I can do is say, well, I know 100 people who were logged in between 12:01 and 12:02. I have no idea which of those 100 downloaded the VPN. I mean the illegal download. There's actually no way to know. So can you BitTorrent with Tor? Yeah, but Tor doesn't want you to BitTorrent with them. They don't recommend that kind of use, but yes, you could. Okay, so do you think of that solar storm that is threatening to disrupt internet service? What do you think? There's always a solar storm that can disrupt us and do some sort of mini EMP. That's always possible. This is why you do ham radio. Rob, all of the U.S. phone carriers, which one would you trust? Trust for what? Now, I like some because they're more flexible. I like T-Mobile. It's the most flexible one and it's the cheaper one. Trust is not the right kind of word. All of them show their data to government. So I don't know what trust means. I mean, I don't trust them in anything. There's absolutely no trust. I use T-Mobile because they're and their MVNOs because they're fair and the pricing is fair. That's it. Is the chat being recorded? Yes, YouTube records the chat for playback. You must be frustrated with the people who hijack your value for privacy and try to use it for nefarious, illicit purposes. Yeah, so just to make it clear, the VPN is not for hiding illegal activity. If that's what you're doing, go to Nord, go to PIA, go to Proton VPN. I don't want that kind of business. What I want is just normal people who want to protect themselves. And the cleaner the population that I have, the less chances we get focused on by any third party, like a government, who will ask for, records. So because, we're kind of a clean-cut organization here with clean-cut users and no spammers and no such thing, we don't really have restrictions. For example, if you use PIA will block your email. So many of these VPNs, they block your email. Why do they block email? Because many spammers use them, because that's used to do bad things. I don't want that kind of business. So if you want that kind of business, go someplace else. My thing is privacy. That is what we are here for, privacy. If you want privacy and somebody you can trust for privacy, then you can trust me because I'm a real person versus some corporate entity. By the way, Google's offering a VPN now. Google offering a VPN. Would you trust a VPN from zucking Google? Zuck. Hello, Alice. So would you trust Google for your VPN? How would you stop spammers, though? I can't necessarily stop a spammer, but I don't really have a way of knowing what you guys are doing. But, I'm just telling you right now, you're not welcome. If you're doing bad things, illegal things, do not come to my VPN. Please don't. Because I will not be your friend. Okay? Does Apple make a VPN? No. Do you have Twitter? Yes, but I hardly go to it anymore. I don't like Twitter. It's a censoring platform. Even more censoring than YouTube. YouTube is bad, but Twitter is really bad. I take my freedom and the responsibility goes along with that freedom every time. What do you think about the government census? The government does a census every fucking many years. I'd rather they don't track anything, but I don't think we can get away with that. Is Google's VPN cheaper? Google was founded by the sucking, three-letter agencies. So let's be clear. Google is deep, deep, deep into three-letter agencies. They wrote the code in Town Square on an online computer. So, friend works for Australia Census. They say to trust them. I won't do online census though. Paper only, no names. They ask for name and date of birth now. How many users do you think Nord or PIA? 2 million? Their Bauer, probably. That sounds like a reasonable number based on their servers. I don't know what their latest servers are, but I know Nord is got to be around there. Yeah. So they make a good amount of money, but their profit margin is not really as much as you think. Their sales may be high, but their profits aren't that high. So I don't know how many employees handle their VPNs. Can't be that many. A good VPN works best in conjunction with good general privacy practices. It's an excellent point, but you also need to, you almost need to rephrase that. A good email, since the topic is email, a good email practice is to implement it with good privacy practices, like using a VPN. Okay? So like I said, if you can set up your own, VPN, and it's not really going to do it for you. If you wanted me to set you up with one, I can do that. It can be your own VPN. I can do that. Not then you can guarantee yourself, bandwidth, because no one will steal your bandwidth, and you'll have good performance consistently. But is it what you want a VPN to do? No, you want to hide among the many. That's the whole point of VPN, so that when somebody profiles, and for example, you go to YouTube, YouTube will track the activity of all the people with the same IP address and what they watch on YouTube, right? Well, guess what? Since all of you are on a VPN, you're watching YouTube, you're watching multiple things. They can't figure out why. On the same IP address, there are some who are into knitting, some are into guns, some are into cooking, some are into cars, some are into boating. They just can't get any consistent profile, and some sound like they're male, some sound like they're female, some sound like they're gay. They can't figure anything out. That's the purpose of a VPN, because if you mix up the data, it's really hard for them to make sense out of it, and the computer will throw it away. They cannot get any data out of it. The AI fails. That is the purpose of a VPN. That is the purpose of a VPN. Okay, just so we're clear. You can generate noise, and you can set up your own VPN server as a Tor exit node to create covered traffic. Do you realize that if you have a VPN exit node, you will then be responsible for responding to DMCA notices? So you're going to get thousands of those, and you're going to have to respond to every single one that says, we are a Tor exit node. We don't have... You got to do that, all day. So you think it's no work involved? You think it's no work involved? There's a lot of work involved. So that's why you pay a VPN company to take care of it, because they handle all of that. You're paying for the VPN company, like in my case, we're paying for the bandwidth. So, it's when you go through the VPN, whatever you do on the VPN, if you use a terabyte a month, we're paying for that. We are paying for that. So basically, if you go through T-Mobile and they charge you $10 a gigabyte, I don't charge you $10 a gigabyte. There's no limit. Many of you will use a terabyte for $89 a year. That's what? Somebody do some math. It's like $8 a month or whatever, $7 a month, and you basically use unlimited traffic. So you can see, if you think it's like a very, very profitable enterprise, no. So it's not, because it's marginal. It's just a small amount of profit. There was a hack from 2016 census. Would it be possible to create peer-to-peer bots to purposely make cookies useless by putting false info, background noise out instead of what the cookies really store? Yeah, I already do that. It's called browser isolation. You can do it yourself, browser isolation. It's not automatic, though. I mean, you have to click on stuff. But I've learned to click. It's not a lot of work. I click on things every day. And it actually gives me a balanced view of the world, because then I don't have to be partisan, because I click on things and I know it's what I want Google to see. Can I buy a year in advance Can I buy a year in advance? You can do anything you want. Yes, you can do anything you want. Say, can I buy 5 years in advance? Whatever. Sure. Note to self, browser isolation. That's a very important video. Very, very important video. I use it every day. I've been doing browser isolation for, when did I first come up with that concept? It's been a long time, maybe 6 years of it. Does your Tesla need a VPN? No. What are you doing in your Tesla? Depends on what you're doing on it, I guess. Normally you're just doing streaming, right? I have followed that whole group of YouTubers. Can I try your VPN for free? It's just too much work, man. It's money back guarantee. Just, use it, sign in, use it. You don't like it, ask for a refund. No big deal. BK, go to the store and you'll find out. Let's not talk about that here. Scary thought earlier, just thought. American Navy is mostly away right now. I have a video on that too. And people said pigeon fanciers were crazy. Teleport using VPN. Support on any crypto is best. Is it safe to eat raw cookie dough? Do you have a video on email isolation to avoid big? I have many videos on email, many. The solution though is to minimize email, because there's no solution to email itself. If you're looking for a good email, Protonmail isn't going to do it. The solution is minimize email, minimize, partition, and minimize. Thank you, Jeanette. Thank you. How does Tor work? I have a video on that too. I have so many videos now that, if you search for it, you'll find I pretty much talk about every topic. I have an app, it's BraxMe. It's encrypted and no identity is required. So you can be there and have any identity you want. You can use your real name, not your real name. Nobody's going to stop you. There's no email required, no nothing. So because of that, it's and there's no IP tracking. So it's a very, very safe platform. Is Tor safe? I use Tor. If they let you use Tor, it's great to use, but it's of course very slow. What is smart proxy? We heard of this technology. Well, what proxy? Search proxy? Proxy server? I mean, the term proxy means a lot of things. Note to self. Yes, Tor is safe if you do nothing illegal on it. Correct. Tor wasn't safe, it would be gone by now. If Tor wasn't safe, it would be gone by now. It's not gone. Not that it's not safe. I told you that you can be spotted. If you're a bad guy, you can be spotted irrespective of Tor. They can spot you from your use of the internet, not from the use of Tor. They can spot you from the use of the internet. This is another one of my videos. It's called the God's Eye View, where they can see incoming and outgoing traffic. I did a live stream about that. So which free email provider should I use? Use whatever you want, but just use it less. What did I say? Partition your email. Don't mix subjects up. Know that your email is being read. So, which means don't go to your accountant and say, oh, here's my tax return. Let me email it to you. Oh, here's my credit application. Let me email it to you. Stuff like that. I mean, that's kind of not too smart. Thank you, Family Tree. Thank you. Browser isolation is a very, very important topic. Text messaging, I said don't do SMS. I mean, XMPP is what I said. The best messaging app I recommend is XMPP, which is any number of apps that use the XMPP protocol. On Android, it's Conversations. On PC, it's called Gajim. On Mac, I don't know what the Mac version is. On Apple, I forget the version again, but it's called XMPP. So the one that we preload on the Google phones is called Conversations. Forget that. Forget any multi-account container extension. Forget that. That's nonsense. Not going to help you. Gajim. It's an XMPP video, so just watch the XMPP video. Okay, I'm running out of time here, so just to if you haven't watched my last video on 5G, please watch that, because a lot of you may have attended the live stream last week where I talked about it, but this is a more detailed explanation, because I kind of did like a cursory explanation of the last live stream. But please watch. Nobody's watching that latest video. It's kind of important, the 5G video. So that's a very important video, and I really recommend that you watch that. Well, thank you guys. Again, to summarize again, if you want to do messaging, I recommend XMPP. If you want to do video, I recommend Jitsi. If you want to do something that your family will use only for family, then I recommend Signal. Otherwise, I would use XMPP. If you want to recommend email, I'm going to say don't. Avoid email. If you can. We can't. So if we can't, then split up to many different accounts. Okay, so that's a summary. Okay, so is Proton Mail good for you? No. Is any kind of email good for you? No. Is Proton Mail special? No. Is it bad? No. Same as anything else. Is it special? No. So there. Okay, good night, guys. I'll see you next time. You may want to suggest some topics to me, because, I don't know what you guys want. So suggest a topic to me, and maybe it'll give me an idea. Thank you very much. Leave it in the comments. Good night. Bye-bye.